IVM.
Never before in the history of radio, television, film or dance bars has there been a show like The Seen and the Unseen. Well, it's mostly about the scene because who knows what the unseen is. And it's a podcast hosted by Amit Verma. New episodes out on the IVM podcast website, app or wherever you get your podcasts from. Kripaya dhyan dijiye. The language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative.
You're listening to Cyrus Says.
All right, it's time to learn the alphabet GAYBCD with Farhad and Sunetro. Yes, two young men who open up, perhaps too much.
Why follow your auntie's advice when you can follow Cyrus Says on Facebook and Twitter to stay updated about the latest shows?
All right, someone has to call this out. As one of the highest paid hosts in the history of hosting, I get like 25 rupees and a drink every time I host something. I have to tell you, I've noticed some do's and don'ts. I don't have time to say them all, but I'll discuss one very important one. And this is really going to change the way events, probably save you about 15 minutes an event. Maybe 20, depending on what the event is. When you're called on as a presenter, you moron, remove the answer from the envelope and keep it ready. Because every time we tell you the winner is, you can't take 15 minutes to fumble, drop the envelope, pick it up, turn it this way, turn it that way, then check the mic. Don't do all that. Remove it, keep it ready, and just simply put up the thing and say, and the winner is Ashutosh Rana for not acting in a movie for 2 years. That's all it is. Just keep it ready. 20 minutes. I did a show the other day and I had to pay double for the link going back because the show just went on and on because of fumbling on envelopes. It's called The Week That Wasn't. No, it's called whatever the show is. Cyrus Says.
This is the amazing story of something awesome. Once Chuck decided to start a podcast, and so he did. The end. Okay, that was a crappy story. But I've got some really cool stories over at my new show, The Origin of Things. On this podcast, I look at the stories of how brands came into being and sometimes evolved out of quite unexpected circumstances. And to make it really fun, I reveal the name of the brand and sometimes a category only at the very end. The show is 5 to 7 minutes per episode and perfect for trivia junkies and brand nerds, especially those with short attention spans. New episodes out every Wednesday on IVM Podcast app or website or any podcast app or site that you happen to prefer. End of story, they lived happily ever after.
All right, landed up here on Cyrus Says with two very interesting young men who've got a show which is please correct me if you want to.
No.
Immediately. Because that's the bone of contention, isn't it? I don't know.
Do you know about Grindr? Do you know what Grindr
Can I
does?
just, so I don't look dumb, can I say yes and then you explain it anyway?
No.
Please, Baba.
Say no, and then you know Tinder, right? I mean, yeah.
No, I can pretend I don't know. See, you're screwing me on this one. These are two paradoxical questions with different answers. Yeah. Tinder, I know, yes?
Yeah. So imagine Tinder is like this, crawling baby.
Oh,
and
never thought of that
and
metaphor.
Grindr is the bap of it. So,
I know Grindr. Oh shit, so of course, yeah.
So Tinder is like kilometers.
Yeah.
Grindr is like feet.
Let's put it this way: Tinder's veg and Grindr is non-veg.
Non-veg.
Oh my
It's
God.
non-veg.
I have a Parsi and a Bengali, my two favorite cuisines of the world.
No,
exactly.
We're the last
Both of
Indians.
us love our food. So
Should we just talk about how the British should have never left?
My family cried at Gateway of India. I called him back, Mountbatten.
my family is still stuck in the colonial era. So
They're worried about the Battle of Plassey. They're waiting for the result. Okay, now listen. Let me introduce you. The one with all the abuse is Farhad Karkaria. Are you related to Bachi?
I get that a lot.
Yeah, you might. There's only 20
no,
Parsis.
I'm not.
Who's the most famous Karkaria in your family? Come on.
He's not a Karkaria. He's a Shehryar.
Sharia Thai?
No, Nozar Shehryar. Do you know of him? He's like apparently the world's best guy.
Famous,
Yeah, he's a gynac.
World's best gynac.
Yeah. He's a big deal. He's a big deal in the gynac world.
Spend your entire life between the legs of many different... anyway, let's move on. And Farhad, I'll come back to you, but just want to welcome Mr. Lahiri, your
Yes.
puppy's nephew.
a lot of people.
So the same
will
bloody joking dragon that you suffered for
You can
40 years
start-
from. See what kind
Can
of
you
jerks?
start with like Jhumpa Lahiri? No, I mean
you
ego
want
massage.
Jhumpa?
Yeah,
You want
thoda
Jhumpa?
ego massage.
I don't
Come
give you
on.
Jhumpa. I give you Puppy.
Hey, my
Puppy?
Instagram
Listen,
name
listen, listen.
is Glitterbugged.
Oh, it is.
So I wear
Glitterbug.
sparkle and
So-
I live up to Bappi.
So yeah, listen, I'm a big fan of Buppy, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
Buppy the writer would have been even better than Buppy the singer. And Jhumpa the singer would have been better than, maybe not.
Maybe
Who knows?
not. Like, let's.
Could you
yeah.
write Disco Station? Disco Station.
Hey,
disco.
he's an era.
Oh, he's an era.
Yeah,
When
so-
they write the history of music in India, they will have to give him a lot. And I hope they
100%.
give Honey Singh less. Yo and all that.
Yeah.
Sunetro, how do you
Yes.
pronounce your name?
Well,
Is it
there's
Sunetro?
Sunetro, there's no. That's definitely
Irish.
not
That's
Sunetro.
Irish.
So it's Bengali, but it's also Hindi. So it's one of those Sanskrit derived
Yeah, but
names.
when you take the Sanskrit word into Bengali, don't you have the sh?
So I'm very open in every sense.
Like
of
when
the
you
term.
guys say you suck, you normally say you shock. Yes or no?
No,
No.
we don't say when we suck, we just suck. But
And
coming back to my name.
What is like? We got it. Don't encourage the sexual imagery. We don't want that.
That'll happen
Yeah,
a lot.
exactly,
You can't
exactly.
stop us.
Yeah,
You can't
it's
stop
gay
us.
men,
So do you
like-
say P-U-C-K or do you say F-U-C-K? I mean, just for the record. Now that you brought it up.
It's a middle
Like
of this.
it's, yeah, I mean,
You know what my favorite is? The guys who say prawns fried rice. Have you heard
no,
those?
the worst.
Prawns fried rice. I've gone to a lot of restaurants and the waiters say,
So
"Sir, prawns
there is
fried
a
rice."
thing that Bengalis do.
Yeah.
They'll pronounce something with a B.
Yeah.
But when they're typing like SMS
With a V,
they'll always write a V, and
Yeah.
it like pisses me off.
Yeah.
And this is something my dad does, and I have this.
Yeah.
Like it just pisses me
Yeah,
off.
it's very confusing when you tell the doctor I have a bowel movement, but you write vowel movement. So you don't know who to consult. Yeah.
And the other thing that happens very often is the color yellow becomes YOLO.
YOLO.
Like,
YOLO.
YOLO. And I'm like,
Oh, there's no
you're,
Y, yeah.
you're like a VSCO girl and like millennial.
Also, the
mix.
very first letter of the alphabet got screwed somewhere down the line. In English alphabet, O for apple.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
One second.
O for apple?
One second. I
Oh.
say it this way.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
for apple, B for vegetable.
Vegetable. Yes. Both not to be eaten.
Yeah, so coming back to my name, it's actually like a Sanskrit derived name, so you can say it the way you like, but I prefer calling myself Sunetro because...
So may I say that most Bengalis are intellectuals, at least in their minds. You are the super intellectual because you've gone and fancified your name.
No.
No.
My name is fancy. I mean,
What
take
is the
no
sisters
credit.
or brothers called? Do you have siblings?
Yes.
Give me
Oh
their
my
names.
God, this is the worst.
That'll make sense. Then you'll understand the whole thing.
So here's the thing. I think this is overcompensation. My
Bolo.
parents, when they saw me, obviously I was like a red rodent when I came out of my mother's womb.
As most men
Yeah.
are.
So they chose. I mean, that's super presumptuous of them. They chose a name which means beautiful eyes. How would they know? Imagine if I was squint.
What the hell?
What would I have to live with?
Your mother will always think you're Hrithik Roshan, which is confusing.
That's
I
a
don't-
Bengali mother
Yeah.
out there.
Hrithik Roshan. I mean,
I don't know if you know this. I don't know if we spoke about this on our show, but I was born on the day Jackie Shroff's first movie came out.
Hero.
So, Hero.
What
I
a
was born
movie.
on- my mom was in labor for 72 hours because she was
And immediately
against
spat out the baby when the movie came out.
cesareans. And the day she actually had me, Hero had released outside, and back then it was, picture super hit hai, silver jubilee
So
type.
you would have been
so they named me
Jackie?
Jackie.
Oh my
I
God.
was Jackie Karkaria for the first month of my
Wow.
life, and then my aunt was like, you have that, your name is supposed to be based on some planet alphabet or some shit like that. So I had F. That time my mom used to cut.
For Franz.
For Franz. I would have gone with Franz Karkaria better than Jackie
Yeah, I mean,
Karkaria.
that would have
I sound
fit
like a
your
character out of
passion. No,
Dynasty.
Jackie Karkaria works if you're Punjabi. Because
Or
it's a
if
normal
I'm-
name.
I don't know.
Biswajit, a.k.a.
Lucky,
Jackie. Yeah,
Jackie,
exactly.
like it's all
Parsis
part of
that-
the-
Jackie is there actually in Parsis also. That's not
Yeah,
fair. That's not
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
So yeah, that's my name.
Okay, listen, we have to talk about who you fuckers are. Can I use fucker?
Yeah.
I've used it now.
All right.
Sorry, fucker.
Do you
please
ask-
correct me.
Fucker.
Fucker.
Do you
Yes,
usually
Farhad,
ask
try.
Pucker?
I mean, he starts making faces. Abbas is like my wife now.
Yeah.
He's only prettier.
Do we need a disclaimer?
No
Like,
balls.
okay.
She doesn't listen. He doesn't care. What do you want
Okay.
this disclaimer for? And we have no listenership
Okay,
anyway.
okay.
Now, Farhad, let's go back to you. You're a chef apparently by profession, is it?
Until very recently, I was working at a restaurant part time, and I do.
Where? Which restaurant?
There's a German restaurant restaurant in Bandra called Malzite, Berlin street food.
I can't afford it. But my wife's going to Berlin in 12 hours. My wife will be in
Okay. So I used to work there for a bit. And
I don't know why I even said that. That's stupid, but it's true. Huh?
And now I just cater out of my house whenever I can. I do Parsi and Goan food. Yeah.
Do you do a good kid gosh? Because I don't get that.
I do. It's tough.
Aleti paleti.
You know,
aleti
paleti.
Good.
I make very good aleti paleti, and I had to make.
What do you make in Beja?
Beja masala fry, but I prefer.
What's your strong point? Tell me honestly.
Dhansak. My
But
dhansak.
dhansak everybody makes well at home.
Yeah, but no, mine is jara popular.
Non-Parsi.
Like my most ordered thing is dhansak.
Idiots don't know any other Parsi dish.
Call me now,
hey, your mother's making dhansak. I'll come over. Chut.
You know, I'm so glad you said kid gosh because I would love to make kid gosh, but my mom does the inhuman kid gosh. You know what I'm talking about? Where she actually 2 months before she's going to make it.
Okay, bus. We don't have to get into that.
Okay.
We're all animal lovers here. Mr. Lahiri, let's get back to your more illustrious career. Because this idiot is going on catering food to some people who only know dhansak. And some of them, because they think they 50% Parsi, will say dhanshak. So then we go back to the Bengali. I mean, what a country this is, man. We got one word right. Sunetro, Cecil can get his name, Mr. Lahiri, from the day he stepped, now let's read this.
Oh my God!
Somebody put it on. Boys, do not allow something to go on the internet if you're not proud. Alright? Now this is the way.
I got Madhuri to write mine.
No, yours is nice. Farhad, I don't mind yours. Farhad is a chef who loves to serve everyone, blah, blah, blah. It's just cut and dry. But it sounds like now this is Bengali narrative. Please understand.
It is.
From the day he stepped into the professional realm, Sunetro, and there's reverb, Sunetro, has been a storyteller, communicating through different canvases. From telling stories through digital and print journalism to talk about, what the fuck is that anyway? Huh? He currently does that through a brand marketer's palette. While he currently leads creative at The Glitch, you do?
Yes, I do.
So under all this clothing, there's a man earning 7 figures or more. And by night, now this is the best part, he fights crime in DC Marvel Vertigo comic style.
What kind of crime, you should ask?
I could totally picture you as a Marvel character.
Fashion crimes.
Oh, fashion. But that's crime. That's crime. God, I just put on my Welfare of Stray Dogs t-shirt and walk out of the house.
I have such a complex when you're recording. I kind of have a low-key complex because Sunetro will always come like dressed like he always does.
Dress up.
You don't dress up, but you generally have like this quirky style. We spoke about this the last time.
He's noticed it.
Yeah, but I am a Steve Jobs guy. I'm black t-shirt.
In fact,
jeans.
Previous
you
episode...
don't be a Steve Jobs guy if you also have Steve Jobs as well.
No, I don't.
It doesn't work. You're just a bum otherwise.
I'm Steve Jobs.
You got the money, then you can wear the black shirt. Or just an idiot whose mother saying,
that is such a good imitation of my mom. You don't even know her.
Actually, I was trying to do Steve Jobs. I don't know what went wrong. Okay, boys, let's get back one at a time. So now let's understand he's a chef. He's still doing that. That's still paying the bills.
No, that doesn't. But yeah, sure.
Then what do you do for money?
That's my side thing. I'm actually a content writer. I'm currently working with Veer Das on a couple of projects.
So Glitch is whose?
Glitch is him.
Okay, so not the same.
No, we don't work together. We just have a show together.
Okay. So now we have to come back. Can I leave you for a minute?
No.
He's given me rubbish in his biodata and I have to just find out he's a content provider and writer for Verdas himself. Yeah. So catering is a hobby now.
That I just do on the side because that's the long plan. I would love to
So you have a kitchen at home or it's
I have a kitchen at home. Yeah, but it's like a very I can't do like if you call me for like 30 people ka order, I can't. But I do a 10 to 20 max people kind of order.
You can sublet it to Ideal Restaurant. I'll speak to Parvez.
Yeah, aren't they vegetarian?
Ideal?
Cafe Ideal?
South Mumbai?
Yeah, Cafe Ideal.
No, that's the one at Marine Drive.
Isn't that vegetarian?
I just avoid that.
Okay.
I've been to Ideal only.
Cafe Ideal Veg, you just go as fast as you can pass.
Are you going to say Post Pride?
Yes, every single time.
Every gay boy ends up
and I stand at the window and like this was my first memory of my first Pride march, okay? In Bombay.
It was, they could do that August Kranti area, no? Exactly. That's why.
Yeah. So
the worst food.
The worst food, no. I don't think anyone remembers the food. People just go there for alcohol.
But alcohol you're carrying and walking, no? Might as well break a few rules.
No, also the after party always happens at Karma, which is opposite Ideal.
Exactly. So that's like at 8 p.m. So everyone needs to while away a little bit of time. So there's like a jukebox and stuff. So people get like hammered.
That's Chirag and Tina's Parsi wife. Gujarati Manas and Parsi wife.
Yeah, so
good for India, demographic.
I remember this is when obviously homosexuality was illegal.
Give us a year. What time?
This is 2013.
Well before 377.
Yeah, 2013. So I remember my most exhilarating moment for that Pride was me standing at a window, looking at a cop and making out with a guy. Because I was like, I am...
What are the cops gay? How do you presume that he's not? Apparently,
The point is,
10% of the population
it was
is gay,
my
so-
little way of saying, yeah, I'm just like, and I was,
Rebel.
I was
You're a
obviously,
rebel.
yeah. But like, that's, I mean,
This is-
little
Rebel-
ways of being a rebel.
I think it's
rebel.
fine. But
Yeah.
by the way, they are very secular about this. Even
Yeah,
heterosexual couples,
absolutely.
they just misbehave. And in,
Yeah.
in the north of India, it's even worse, let me tell you.
Yeah.
They call them the Romeo squads. And I don't understand. If people are making love or loving each other, I mean, why would that bother you? It's when they hit each other and when they burn things,
Yeah.
when the children are being
That's it.
hanged, you know, when a
Exactly.
kasai is being butchered
Yeah.
for whatever reason, that's when the police should act. Not when a couple of whatever
Yeah.
style is, you know. I don't get that.
Yeah.
Someone should talk to the police.
But Mumbai police is one of the
Better.
most
Better.
tolerant.
Yeah,
I
Haryana is
have
not
to
fun.
say.
Haryana.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my Haryana experience, not even to do with sex or love or anything. I was on an elephant
Okay.
because MTV had just one visionary whose name was Amit Malhotra. I think now he's been shot or something. And he decided to make noise in 96. No one knew who we were. I sit on an elephant and go past Times of India and Indian Express and all these.
Oh my God.
So I went on the elephant, which took 15 minutes. Let me tell you to get onto the elephant. If you mount things in your life, never mount an elephant. A, you're inadequate, and B, it just takes too long. Suddenly a Haryanvi cop comes, a car and all that, and stops us right, you know, wherever, a very slow moving elephant. And he said this line to me, which I still remember, and I was stunned because I have a good sense of galis. You know, he's oh, band ki land! Nicha! I was like, what
That's
does that even
confusing.
mean?
That's so
Now,
confusing.
you boys are in the business. You tell me, what does that mean?
Hey, anything's possible today. So,
What's her pronoun?
yeah.
I spent the whole evening trying to figure this out. You know, that was my experience of Haryana.
Yeah, well.
Oh, terrible. But we have to discuss your show. We're almost around to halftime here. We have to talk about the show, but quickly, we didn't even mention the background.
Yeah,
So you're
sure.
very strong. I'm a little confused because Abbas and I, both of us are out of work comedians. So we're not very clear. So are you gay and standing for that, or are you?
So here's the thing.
Or is it important to not get into that?
No,
it is.
It is because we're both
I'm very
out.
scared. I don't want to fight with anyone.
No, but that's the point. That's the point. And this is something we mentioned in one of our episodes. After the Me Too movement, and I'm not getting serious here. After the Me Too movement, the reason why I'm so glad it happened was people know how to react to women. People still don't know how to react to the queer community. People don't know how to say the right things. And no one wants you to be.
And
easy.
people like us go the other way. We want to not offend you. Which is actually worse.
Yeah.
It's like
I have a gay
it's like reverse
friend. Will you
racism.
meet the gay
No, it's
friend?
But you know, the
Yeah.
funny thing is we as queer people,
Yeah.
even we face that so many times. Even I'm like, how do I address this person? So
the
it's
guy who's
something
trying
we
to be
all are-
overtly patronizing and nice. You know, that's also that's what we experience that a lot.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what just happened is, Kavita sort of spoke to me.
Yeah.
She spoke
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
Kavita's gay.
So
I've thought about it.
One more loss
shit.
to my team.
Shit.
Huh?
I lost one. I just lost one show, maybe.
one more loss.
I sincerely believe, Cyrus. I sincerely believe that all straight people in the right lighting can be anything.
Okay.
Under
You
the
go to
right
theory
lighting.
that everybody's sort of bisexual.
No,
are
not
floating.
bisexual. I
Floating
believe
between
there is
the-
a Kinsey. You know about the Kinsey scale?
Yeah, vaguely.
So exclusively straight to exclusively gay.
Yeah.
I feel 90% of the people are somewhere in the middle, and
Yeah.
I don't want to be like
Shall I take names and then you tell me what percentage they are?
Chalo.
Huh? So let's start with politics. Let's look at the Lok Sabha to begin with. Bring me the list, boys. Bollocks.
So yeah. So yes, I mean
No, so I interrupted. So how do you play? How do you term yourself, or do you say? You say I'm
identify
black, gay,
as
Jewish, and
queer.
proud.
I
I'm sorry.
identify as queer because.
So what's queer? Queer is gay, right?
No. Queer
Oh.
So queer is basically this all-encompassing word that describes not heteronormative. And heteronormative
Why did you have to be
means-
so complicated? Point at a person you sleep with
Even
and tell
I
me.
feel the same. Like
Yeah.
it is too. There's too much.
No, no,
happening
yeah.
now.
But
I
just
get
to
it.
break it down,
Yeah.
if I don't adhere to like a man sleeping with a woman and man will spend his life with a woman throughout his life, sort of an
Which
ideology.
never happens anyway.
Well, so then I identify as queer. So that means that I could be attracted to a woman, I could be attracted to a man, I could be attracted to someone who's trans.
In my
and
case,
So
a cat.
So you're keeping everything open.
I'm not keeping it open. I'm just that way.
Yeah.
So
you're allowing yourself to not be termed.
Exactly.
One thing.
Exactly. What good
Keeping
is
it open.
labeling that? Sorry?
How about just chatting with my fancy friend? Baddu challenge. Am I right? Let me write it down for memory.
Can I?
You heard mine, now you're his.
Is the queer subset
Yeah.
of people, are they a little militant about this, that we are like this?
I'll tell you what, I'll answer
Yeah,
that. What
please.
happens is I identify as bisexual.
Okay.
And I just
So
realized...
bisexual is just man and woman.
Yeah, bio.
Okay.
And what happens is sometimes I feel certain amount of frustration that people don't get what I'm feeling. Because I constantly... And now it's just straight up biphobia. A lot of times I see it as biphobia.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, like for example, I've not been in a relationship with a girl for the past 3 years. So it's very common for my close friends to go like,
Ab to
yeah,
gay
now
ho gaya
just
na."
say gay now.
Yeah.
Why are you still saying bi?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you're not validating what I genuinely feel.
Yeah.
So I get a little annoyed by that.
Yeah.
So in that context, I understand if someone else is feeling a little...
Yeah.
And that's just one example.
Yeah, no, which
There's
is
a-
why I say queer, because...
So sorry, so you can go back to women.
I can totally go back to women. Yeah.
He's eating my market. It's unnecessarily. So we just stick to your own, man.
That's a common one we get all the time. Where,
Yeah.
wow, you though must be getting laid all the time considering
No,
your...
but you double the options. And as you get older, also I can't tell you.
Yeah.
You can't keep touring some country and paying money. I mean, there's a limit to that.
That's why Tinder.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I can't operate a computer. I have stubby fingers. It takes too long.
If you use Tinder on a computer, I would really question.
I can't do it on my phone. My daughter has access to the phone. Please understand what we're going through.
What
here.
are you teaching her? Shh.
I'm like you, kulla, I leave it all open. I
That's
think
good. That's
avoid
good parenting.
Pornhub, avoid lobster,
Yeah.
red tube.
Yeah.
Wait, what's lobster?
Lobster.
Okay, there's a gentleman who's just walked in. Hello. How are you, sir? Come. Meet my Bengali friend.
Hi.
Sunetro. What you're saying? Sit down, don't hurry. In fact, now we'll take a break because you interrupted show. We take break now. Now we take break, then we come back.
What accent is that now? That's not
Wanna be Bengali.
That's like Brooklyn meets Italian.
The Bengalis from South Bombay are like me. Huh? They lose their Bengali very quickly. They struggle with it.
Yeah, well.
Okay, we take a break. We come back, boys.
Sure.
Gay, straight or bi, this is the show for you when we come back. What the fuck are these two animals?
रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे पॉडकास्ट लगते हैं नाम है फुटबॉल शुटबॉल
Presenting Football Shortball, a show about three friends discussing our favorite game over a beer. Sometimes 3, maybe even 5. Hi, I'm Shiva, and with me are my two sidekicks, Gaurav Sapre and Kartika here.
Sidekick, you mean like Batman's Robin or Van Persie Robin?
No, I mean like Alexis Sanchez, but with a little more skill than just playing the piano.
Just shows how the best players at Arsenal are mere bench warmers at United.
Oh, thank you, Ayer. But you're a Fulham supporter. So whenever you say anything to support me, I question my beliefs.
Just like how Griezmann would say, एक बार मैंने जो decision ले लिया, तो मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता.
Banter aside, we will talk match reports, transfer rumors, top controversies, fantasy football picks, and so much more. So grab a beer and tune in to Football Shootball every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. We're all having a good laugh here. Alexander was bi. I mean, the great.
Yeah.
Not Kulak.
He was pansexual, by the way.
Yeah, he was.
Because...
Hephaestion, great love story.
Yes.
He cried so much when
Yeah.
Hephaestion died and when Bucephalus died, the horse.
Also-
These are his two loves.
and
They
one of
sound
his
like
most
STDs.
popular consorts was
Roxanne.
trans.
Yeah.
So-
is that proven?
I mean, there are theories.
it's difficult.
So, yeah.
But
How do
Alexander
you-
didn't care because when he was such a megalomaniac, I will make the rules.
Yeah.
You will
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah.
That's like every gay guy I know.
Yeah. Is it?
Okay.
So my wife is
Maybe
gay.
I'm generalizing. Sunetro just did
My wife is
a
gay. Because all this points to the same behavior. My wife is Alexander.
Yeah.
And by transitive property, they're all friggin' gay. Okay, boys, come on, let's talk about the show. Let's
Yeah.
do the show.
Yes. GAYBCD.
I'll tell you what.
GAYBCD.
So when I met Kavita, we had a very
Okay,
specific...
one second, let's line up
Sure.
Kavita. She's not really seen that much or heard of on our show. Kavita is the co-founder
co-founder.
and head of
Yes.
something in IBM.
Yeah.
We'll give her a
Of
designation
IBM.
at
Of
some point.
Of
IBM.
IBM.
In 3 weeks, we'll find something for her. Yeah.
And when I met her, she had a very specific idea in her head.
How did
which-
she know you? Chef?
No, I have another show with Naveen, Keeping
Oh,
It Queer.
right.
Yeah, so I do
Yeah.
that show, and I'm kind of the breakout star of IVM. I like to
Yeah.
believe with
You're
the kind of messages I get on Instagram now.
We put you with Naveen for a reason.
oh,
Go on.
I need to come back from that.
Yes.
But I feel like we live in a time where what straight people are going through and the LGBTQ people are going through.
All are going to GST, which is a nightmare.
No, but more in terms of what dating is like nowadays. Because, like he said, right, Grindr, we had it years before straight people had anything.
Yeah,
We
like-
were already fucking
Yeah.
over the internet. We are meeting everyone, random, casual, hookup, sex.
Is it true? Is this a stereotype that the gay community has more promiscuity and all that?
Promiscuity is the wrong word. We have more sex.
But
So, matlab, same.
No, it's not.
Sister
more sex
concern.
in
No, it's
a
not.
monogamous relationship
no,
is different.
So here's the thing. We have
But that never exists. The
for-
paradox again.
The community has had to do that under covers for the longest time because they had
Because
no
a lot
other
of
option.
shame was involved.
lot
For
of
all
shame.
these years.
There are laws involved. I mean, what do? Sure, if you're privileged, then you do it at your.
But did they really act on that law a lot? Just to bully,
So a
blackmail.
lot of people got bullied, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. If you have privilege, if you have money, then you have home.
Access
you
to
have a
getting
home.
out of it, yeah.
But majority of the people who were sort of persecuted and bullied under that law, they're the ones who didn't have the means.
So your point is not about being gay; it's about being poor. Poor people are in real trouble.
That's
Garibo,
all.
dhyan dijiye. We can't do anything about the situation, whatever your sexuality.
No, but
is.
like privilege for the long, even during the Holocaust, for example, the gay men who were actually very, very rich, they got out. But it was the large masses of people who were the middle class and lower middle class. They were the ones who had to wear the pink
That's
triangles.
my point. That's my point.
Yeah.
So you can't be
When you-
poor. It's not about your sexuality.
Tell that to
You
India.
can't afford to be poor. If you're
Yeah.
poor, you're still in trouble.
Tell that to India.
Yeah.
Well,
So I don't know any poor people in India. It's very difficult.
naughty boy.
That was in Bombay.
Suddenly the leftists in my Bengali
I'm
friend
not a
woke up.
bag boy, so come with me to Khar Danda.
Oh my God.
I live in Malad.
Again,
so
Khar
like,
Danda for anybody outside Bombay will sound very vulgar. I'm just telling you.
I live in Malad. So welcome to
Malad?
poor. Yeah. Like,
Why are you in Malad?
Just because I have a
Bungalow.
Can I tell you
have a
something
bungalow.
funny?
He has a bungalow in Malad. Look at the liar.
Not. Yeah.
Can I tell you something? So when I was trying to make it, I was just about
Yeah.
earning internship money
Yeah,
types.
yeah.
This I was living in Dharavi, and not like. There's a good side to Dharavi
Yeah.
also. I was living on the shitty side of Dharavi.
But everybody in
And
Dharavi
so-
has money, huh? It just doesn't look
I'll tell you
good.
what.
Okay,
So I was living
yeah.
in one of those redeveloped buildings,
Yeah.
and me
Alone?
and my boyfriend. No, I had moved in with my boyfriend there, and
What was his name?
I don't want to.
What was the building's
He's
name?
an ex now. No, it was one of those redeveloped.
So who
So
paid for the
SRA.
room?
SRA,
House?
right?
I got it on rent.
Okay.
Yeah, SRA, right?
I don't know what that
Yeah,
is.
it's SRA.
Just say yes.
Okay.
Otherwise you look
Yeah.
stupid.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Parsi
If
community.
it's slum redeveloped
Yes,
in something,
yeah.
okay, yeah,
correct.
yeah. So
See,
it was
see.
one of those, and
Yeah.
I wanted a maid. And I was like, I asked my neighbor first,
Is
and
this-
she
is this
said,
because
"Upar
you-
pucho." So I went upar, and turns out every woman in that building was a maid
Was a maid.
somewhere else. I
Yeah.
was living in the building.
Oh.
So yeah.
So you
I've
were a
been-
maid?
I had
For a
to.
little while.
For those
So-
4 months, I cleaned my
I think
own
we all
house,
should be
yeah.
maids. Military service and maids for some time
Amazing.
to understand the world.
So
And I look good in a skirt. Go on.
the reason I live in Malad is because when I moved to Bombay,
Without parents, alone on your own.
I've never lived. Like the last time I lived with
Where's
my parents
home?
was. So here's the thing. I'm not from Calcutta. I'm not from West Bengal. My family stays in West Bengal, but I've grown up in Ranchi, small town
Oh,
Ranchi.
Jharkhand.
Yeah, Jharkhand.
But Jamshedpur would have been better.
Yeah, Jamshedpur is like
Picked up
urban.
Gujarati also.
Yeah, and Bengali. It's like like.
So what is Ranchi?
Ranchi is
Hardcore Bihari sort of.
So
Huh.
the Bihar has not left Ranchi.
Correct.
So that's the kind of town.
And you're
I
not
stay-
MS Dhoni, so you don't have that privilege either.
Definitely not. And I have. So here's the thing. In Ranchi, there are 3 things that can make you successful. One is if you talk cricket, which
Yeah.
I can't spell.
Okay.
Second is engineering, which I can't spell.
Right.
And the third is being a doctor, medical, whatever.
Let me guess, you can't spell.
Which I can't
Very
spell. So I had to move to Calcutta. That's when I started staying away from my parents. And that was when I was 15. I'm 32 now. So
How do you pay for life at 15 in Calcutta?
I mean, I got thoda sa whatever from them, but from the age of 19, ever since I was in college, I started working. So,
How are they about the whole sexuality thing and all?
I didn't give them a choice because
No,
it's
but
my
when-
sexuality,
yeah,
right?
but-
Like, so my conversation was this. This is who I am. I can get a guy home. I can get a girl home someday. But if you want to be part of my life, then you have to be okay with it. Or, unfortunately, you won't be able to be part of my life. So that was the conversation. It sounds very
And what
militant.
did they say?
You cornered them.
Like it was a very there. Like my dad was like, sure, okay, and my mom was
How
like,
sweet. No fight there whatsoever. I concede. Do whatever you want, but pay your taxes.
yeah. So here's the thing. I could have that conversation only when I had financial independence. And
So mom was not that supportive.
not that supportive because like she said stuff like ye apne culture mein to nahi hota hai types, stuff. And
Is that
then
the
she
impression
died.
of your own mom? I'm so sorry.
And then she died. I make people uncomfortable that way.
Wow, really?
We had an entire episode.
Yeah.
See, but okay, coming back to GAYBCD for a second.
Yeah, please, that's the conversation. Where do you go? Tell your family members.
I remember there was, if I can talk about
Yes.
it, but there was...
I'll just quickly come to
Sure.
why Malad. So the reason I stay in Malad is, again, I came to Bombay. I didn't have money to live anywhere else. And moving anywhere beyond Malad would be very expensive to travel.
Correct.
So Malad, and my work was in Versova. So I stayed in Malad and I stayed in one of these SRA Chawl sort of places. And I fell in love with the place so much that now I don't want to move out of it. So obviously I've
Do you have a
moved in
partner?
life. No.
No, but then I would change the whole thing. No, because
Sorry,
the
I
partner will
didn't get
also...
that question.
No.
No, but your partner decides where you stay also, no, once you get into a thing.
No. So
Oh my God,
today even, so one of the best things is I have a lovely house, touch wood, but I can see my first house from my house and it's beautiful.
You have 2 houses.
No, my first chawl house. I can see it from
okay.
my window, and it's amazing because like I can see that that's
see
where
your
I come
path.
from. Yes,
Yeah. You never forget your roots. It's very
never
important.
forget your
I
roots.
can't
You're like
see
Cyrus the
Dharavi
Great.
from my house.
You're
Yeah.
the people's king. You have to keep your roots intact. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Now let's come to your fuck all
Yes.
story.
My fuck. It is kind of my coming out story.
What are we talking
What was
about?
it like? Because I know some Parsi households are very liberal, but then again,
Not at
some are
all.
not.
Mine.
Yeah.
My dad was super liberal.
Both of you all have had supportive dads. That's odd. I would think the male would give more trouble.
But can I tell you something? And now even more, I don't want to joke. I want to joke.
What is-
I want to joke.
Jock
also.
is Bengali.
What is jock?
Jock is Bengali, right?
I don't mind.
not.
I don't mind joking also.
Oh, Jock. Tell me, Jock.
But I remember my dad accidentally saw me kiss a guy once, and he was
In the house.
in the house. I was kissing this boy,
The maid.
a Parsi boy back then, and.
What is that?
No, that detail was
Can I tell you something?
That detail
When my
was so
parents
important.
finally did come around, this is years later.
Please make it-
I was dating a Maharashtrian boy, and my mom said, at least chokro hai to Parsi. So they at least, And I was like, fuck it, there's a fucking caveat in that.
That's
also.
beautiful satire, man. Really. That's so lovely. What a
But
story.
I remember my mom did not deal with it very well. I remember I was studying one day and she just barged into the room and she shut my book and she was like, are you bisexual? And my first reaction was, that's a very specific question
Yeah,
to
a
ask.
lot of research.
Yeah. And I said,
Did you keep
why?
Playboy?
The wonders she must have found on the internet.
Oh my God, Debonair and Playboy side by side.
Play girl.
But I was like, what? And she again asked me, are you bisexual? And my mom has a real temper issue. You might, do you know what I'm talking about? Like veins and like really
Wow.
crazy Parsi lady basically. And my first reaction, I don't know why, in retrospect, I feel it was smart even then. I was like, I do not want to, I'd not say no. I'd not deny it. I said, I don't want to answer it if that's how you
Which
want
is
to
the
know.
best way to say yes.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
There's
But
nothing better than
obviously, so
I will not tell you.
I
Yeah.
kind of, in a way, was affirming what
I
she was
can neither
asking
confirm
me.
nor deny.
Where was Dad?
My dad was around. He was...
So no one interfered. There was no family.
No. This was...
So it was
we were alone.
Dilip
at-
Kumar and Amitabh Bachchan, but different story.
It And with my parents, at least, I feel like I had to come out to them again and again and
Yeah.
again, which I know a lot of gay boys say.
So they
like,
then denial?
yeah, there's a lot of denial. That even now my dad has Alzheimer's, so
Oh, lovely.
I actually
in a
have to
way.
remind him a lot of times.
Fantasy.
I actually-
Errol Flynn.
But
Sorry.
yeah,
That's a bit mean, yeah.
No, not at all.
The Alzheimer's, because we're all going to get it.
I brought in a dead mom, so it's okay.
Yeah, I know. But you did it purposely. It's different.
So yeah, with my dad, at least after this, with my mom, she's come around now.
Are
Like,
there any, you have siblings?
I do have an elder
So
brother.
was he supportive?
He was actually super supportive. In fact, I remember my coming out to my brother was because back then he got a laptop first in the house. He was 7
So you wanted to have a good shag with him.
he one day just comes up to me and he's like, hey, tu evu porn kai joich? And I
What
was
are you
like,
saying?
kevu porn. And he's like, pelu porn. And... And I just said, I like that kind of porn. And he said, oh, okay. And honestly, now... it's been 15, 20 years since that.
So no judgment from him.
Now he's the one in the family who's like, are you seeing someone? How's your ex?
So the parents are not okay?
They are. My mom only, but it's a very...
Parsi boy.
Okay, I'll give you an example. When Keeping It Queer, they did an article in Delhi Times or something. Somehow my mom got that article. And she's like, मैं तेरू cod past new article joyu. Okay, so I was like, okay, it's podcast. And she said cod past. And then she was also like, Majalu tu, nice. Badu, मैं watch you.
But.
And I was like, oh, glad. Even I was trying to like walking on eggshells kind of a thing. And she was also teetering around. Like she wasn't like getting to the point. But I'm fine with that because all said and done, I come from an extremely dysfunctional family. We were at each other's throats pretty much all our lives. So I just felt like I don't want to burden them with this shit. It's my life to deal with.
I have another theory altogether.
Which is?
I think we human beings just love to find something which is odd or different about somebody else to feel better about themselves. You just need that.
Sure.
So whatever it is, not just sexuality.
Yeah.
Because I think human beings suck in their chutes. I hate them all. May I say, let's live with plants and animals?
Please. Can I tell you something? One of Sunetro's running lines in every episode is, I hate humans. He says it
Good
without
man.
it.
Yeah,
Good
man.
And he looks like a prophet. Look at the way he is. Looks straight out of one of those old manuals. I will lead the people. I have a promised land. It's with Lodha. It's in dispute. High Court.
In
Date is
Malad.
set.
In Malad.
In Malad.
Hey, Malad is Malad. He's made Malad into Milan.
The
by the way.
Maladi.
But with his fancy curls and his, fancy jackets and
He's
all,
beautiful.
the couture and all that.
Yeah,
with the rest of the guys in the colony, I mean,
I bring the average up.
I really am. That guy's in a banyan scratching his balls with the torn underwear.
No, it was a dream for me. I stayed for 3 months in Rustam Bagh and I would just see all these boys play football and shit. It was a dream.
It's lovely, Rustam Bagh.
Yeah, but the boys were very pretty.
Oh, you enjoyed watching boys play?
Yeah, it was
not the lovely space and people not honking and not abusing, except at Saturday evening.
And also Baikala outside. So,
Baikala where Abbas comes from.
How lovely. I love the place. Good sheikh kebabs.
Double meaning, by the way.
Yeah.
Just for the people who don't understand.
Yeah.
We get a lot of Scandinavian listeners. They don't pick it up sometimes. Oh, and a phone. Your mom is called. Huh? Kaun chai, Maharashtrian ya Parsi? Answer the question.
I'm so sorry for that.
All right, don't be sorry. Listen, since you interrupted us before we haven't talked about the show. What are you trying to do? Because you've already got a show which is slightly towards left of center.
Yeah.
So what's this then?
So again, we just wanted to talk about, so if you hear some of the episodes, they're more about like overarching things that apply to the human story.
Example?
But from a adulting. What's adulting like?
And one of the reasons why I think Kavita, she was a mastermind.
Blame her. I agree.
She was a mastermind behind all of this, and she brought two very, very distinctively different people together. Every episode,
saying you suck.
No, every episode, it's almost every alternate episode. What ends up happening is Kavita sits here, and we both have our differing points of view, Farhad and me. And she sides with one of us. She's like, yeah, mere saath to yahi hota hai. Like when it comes to dating stories.
It's only about dating, is it?
No. A lot of things. Like
not at all.
everything under the sun. Like the last episode we had was on clothing and how clothing has become such a
important.
If you do too much, it's a problem. If you do too little, it's a problem.
So he's too much, I'm too little. Basically.
And why does it have to be? No, that's what people shouldn't give a fuck. If I'm wearing heels as a boy, why should it matter? If someone wants to just wear a black t-shirt and like shorts, why should it matter? As long as it's like hygienic.
You all have taught me a very valuable lesson here today. I realize I'm the greatest man in the world. Because I really don't care about all these things. It's never bothered me. Black, white, blue, sexuality, nothing. I get irritated by other things. People being late. People touching me for no reason. People smelling. These things. So why are we wasting time with all these other issues? They don't.
As in we don't. It's
issues.
just that's the thing. You know what you just said, right? A lot of times, people tend to celebrate what they find odd in other people. I think even the opposite holds true, right?
Yeah.
So many times they reject what is unlike them just because they can't be that.
Speaking of the government.
Just think about anything.
The other thing is that, and this is a trend in this country particularly, anytime that you especially in the LGBTQ community, it's LGBTQIA.
Hey, I know that. I come prepared. I've got my notes.
Because there is such little education or information about it, there is typecasting and labeling, and which people are not comfortable with. Like, how would someone feel if you were saying, "Oh, you are like Narendra Modi"? Obviously, oops, sorry, can't say that. I'll rescind it.
You should hear Lalit episode.
Lalit Modi.
Yeah.
Or my friend Rustam Modi.
Yeah. So the whole idea is, why are there 5 kinds of gays? You know, why are there typecasted, like, you know, there's Queer Eye, which is very popular right now. There's so many people who come out to me and say, oh, you remind me of
The show.
JVN.
The show. Queer
the
Eye.
Netflix show.
I watched it for 5 minutes.
No.
My wife likes it more, I'll be honest.
It's a lovely
Honestly,
show.
even I don't.
You gotta like furniture and things like this. Is beyond me, man.
Yeah.
It's actually, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Give 2 episodes a shot, and then you'll see why a show like that is important.
You know what? I'm glad we are talking about Queer Eye, because that again is a large part of why we do GAYBCD.
Yes.
Because all of Queer Eye boils down to now self-love.
Yes.
You know, and
And-
self-acceptance. And
Also, it's always so stereotypical after some time.
That's
No,
the thing.
I grew up with a lot of gay men in the theatre, and all of them many of them lift weights, and
So that's the thing.
Same thing.
Sure.
What they've done is have like multiple personalities,
Yeah.
so that it really boils down to there are different kinds of
Yeah.
gay men. There can be different kinds of gay men and trans people and whatnot. What pisses me off is when someone comes up to me and says that, oh, you know what, you'd remind me of JVN. And I'm like, sure, I don't take that.
One of
okay.
the,
so one of
guys
the
in
queer
Queer
guys
Eye.
who
I know that.
Yeah. So JVN, one second.
Whole world out
so
there.
he's
Jonathan
got like
Van Ness.
he's a little more
Ness, bar.
Ness, yeah. So he's got like long hair. He's got long hair. He's a little more flamboyant. And my point is, sure, I'm not offended, but why? Why do I have to be a particular kind of person? So here's the thing. There are so many similarities that the gay community and the straight community have. Why not talk about that? We are not really that different as communities, and we have pretty much human problems.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we have to. So
Like leakage? Well, nobody cares what sexuality when the freaking water comes on the fifth floor into your bathroom while you're
Yeah.
sitting on the pot.
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about gay.
Oh, that leakage. No, that is age. Again, that's not gay, that's age.
In the gay community, not always age. Just
You know the
putting it
term
out
is anal seepage. by the way.
Seepage.
Anal
Yes.
seepage.
Yeah.
Ah, correct.
Like, whoa, when you had too much fun in the bath.
You're a scientist.
But
Why am I getting a Bengali slang all the time for the last half an hour?
you know the
See,
thing
learn
is,
something new every day.
when I was doing Keeping It Queer, I started realizing over time how therapeutic podcasting
Yes.
is generally. And with GAYBCD, one
opening
of-
up is great.
It's amazing. Not around Naveen though.
So who do you prefer, Naveen or...
You know, I'll tell you what, and I'd love to say this. With Naveen, because he's a comedian, I like to think I'm funny. It's more lighthearted. We talk about like the lighter side of things, but with Sunetro, I wanted to work towards self-acceptance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because again, if the larger conversation is self-love, accepting
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
for your handle.
Naveen, this means you suck, man.
No, yeah.
No, come on, let's call him out for it.
No, we've had some
He looks
Yeah.
down on you, Naveen.
Yeah.
very
He
intense
spat on you, not in a
moments.
sexual
Yeah.
way. Huh. Go on.
We've had some very intense
Yeah.
moments in our. We've done what,
Yeah.
10, 11 episodes? or
Eight
so?
episodes roughly.
So we've had some.
433 batting.
Yeah, I remember. And how it gets real is there was this, again, I'll come back to it, but there was this one day where Sunetro looked totally uncharacteristic of Sunetro. He was totally out of it, and it was his
Angry?
mom's,
No, like
no.
Upset,
down.
okay.
Really
Low.
low.
upset. I asked him what's up. And
Mom's
we were
death
about-
anniversary.
Yeah, it was his mom's death. And then I was like, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with death? And again, somehow put a queer perspective
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
Because again, right, I have had friends who've lost parents before they came out to their parents. And their lives have been a huge struggle. Like, what if my parents were still around? Would they have accepted me now? So we try to keep it real a little. With
Yeah.
Naveen, it tends to get a little, but like,
So what you're saying is Sunetro has more depth.
yeah, definitely. No, we tend to
Naveen's
get
a
there.
bit of a pigeon head.
Naveen
Oh
knows
my
that.
God.
Naveen, note all this down, please. He loves you, but he looks down on you. He has
Oh
no
my
respect
God.
for you and disdain.
Oh my God.
He's uncomfortable being around you because
I
you're
don't
like an
feel-
orangutan.
I
Your
don't
face
feel
is
that
too
about
big, your
you.
shoulders too narrow, your hips are too wide. Gay or straight, you have no market.
Whatever no,
I told him the
Cyrus
truth.
said.
Now let him
Whatever
deal with
Cyrus
it.
said.
Let him
Naveen.
deal with it, yeah. And you're not Parsi. You can't take him home. Biggest mistake.
बाप रे Christian मतलब convert कर ही देते He'll convert you. Big no.
He's gay
Big no.
and Christian.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay, listen, we have to end it here. You guys
Sure.
have talked too much.
Yes.
It's a very painful episode.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
But we do have the AMAs with the two of you.
Great.
So please stay.
Great. All right.
AMS are
Stop
like,
acting
ask me
excited.
a
It's crap.
question.
You know,
Yes.
it's crap.
Okay, I was just
AMAs.
joking.
GAYBCD, new episodes out every Tuesday. Hosted by Farhad and Sunetro.
Yay.
Now take the break line again.
Now take the break line again.
Hey everybody, you know what we've got? We've got another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you haven't been following us on YouTube, please do a search for IVM CCTV and get a peek inside what's going on in the studio. You can see excerpts from Cyrus Says, Naveen from Keeping It Queer, Akash from Varta Lab. There's stuff that we've done with Feeding 10 Billion. There are a whole bunch of little videos over there. Give it a watch and let us know what you think about that. On the scene and the unseen, Amit Verma is joined by journalists Barun Mitra and Kumar Anand to discuss the crisis in agriculture. On Agla Station Adulthood, hosts Ayushi and Ritasha discuss various interpretations of beauty and also share some amazing skincare routines. On Feeding 10 Billion, Ramya and Varun talk to Dr. Sandhya Sriram of Shiok Meats about bringing cell-based shrimp to our restaurants. On 9XM Soundcast, Eva is joined by the incredible music composer duo Vishal and Shekhar. They talk about the process of creating a soundtrack and give their views about the remix trend in Bollywood. On the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast, Ashwin and DJ conclude the Ashes and talk about the failure of Indian middle order in the T20s. On the Kinetic Living Podcast, Coach Urmi shares a workout called Arc Planks on Tabata Tuesdays. On Thriving Thursdays, she shares her journey towards building kinetic living and the challenges that she faced. On Varta Lab, Akash and Naveen are joined by Shashwat Bulusu, a singer-songwriter from Baroda who is pushing the sonic aesthetic of guitar-centric laid-back pop. On Geek Fruit, Dinkar and Jishnu talk about pop culture that revolves around the apocalypse and tell us how they would ideally prepare for it. On Football Shutball, hosts Gaurav, Karthik and Siva bring to you the post-match reactions of their favorite fixture of the year, Manchester United versus Arsenal. That's no surprise to anybody. And with that, let's get you on with your show.
If you have any questions for Cyrus, write to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Or you can send an email to whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, back here with the AMAs, two friends, gay and proud, or bisexual and proud. Better get this right.
Queer and proud.
Queer and proud.
Yes.
And just proud. Abbas.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is there to be proud about? Let's move on.
Okay, this first question comes from Nihar Mehta. Hi Cyrus, as compared to the US or UK based
Right.
Netflix and Amazon shows, I find that the use of expletives in Indian shows feels very forced and unnecessary.
I agree. I
Do you
totally agree.
think? Do you think our writers?
I fucking agree.
Do you think our writers and directors are savoring their newfound freedom because of the lack of censorship and have stretched it a bit too far?
You know, I went to some show in Jaipur, talk journalism thing, and they asked a similar question about comedians, English comedians, the whole movement in the last 7-8 years. And initially, Abbas, you should explain this better than us. A lot of them love this idea of saying the word fuck and using sexual imagery on stage, almost like that's their happy moment. I think you just grow out of it. It's just something that you got
like
that freedom to, and
yeah.
it's like masturbating for the first time. Lasted 46 years with me. Yeah.
The first time?
I came.
Oh my God.
So I was in Indonesia for a work thing.
You travel, man from Malad. Wow, what a life.
And because it's Indonesia, comedy has a
Limit.
lot of censorship over
Right.
there.
Correct.
And so there's this collective of comedians who are talking about exactly this and how they're constantly censored. They're Muslim comedians who did a sketch where they roasted a pig on a
Like they insulted
No, not the comedic.
roasted a pig.
It's both.
And what they said was that was our way of saying fuck because we couldn't deal with it anymore. And that's what it is because and the truth is most comedy there is always a victim, and when you live in such a PC world, if there is no victim, then what's happening? Who are you laughing with, or who are you laughing at? Where's the victim? And that's the problem. When we get a little bit of...
Am I the only one who thinks the pig is the victim here? Am I right? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess you get a little bit of freedom.
But coming back to Netflix, and Indonesia is a little more rigid than we are. Supposedly we are liberal and all that. Do you think that our shows have too much? If you look at the Sacred Games as the pathbreaker here, and lots of gali galoch, which perhaps sometimes is unnecessary or doesn't fit the point.
Yeah. I feel like it's mainly to be a little sensational. A lot of times that gets appreciated. But since we spoke about Sacred Games, I was amazed for the first time to see a transgender, like with a penis, like suddenly.
So that's fine. So that's fine.
No, I felt like, wow, okay, we can go there. As Bollywood, I would say not Netflix India or America. I would say as Bollywood now we can go there.
The character was accepted.
Exactly. So I was happy with that, but I feel like. And I think Anurag Kashyap in a lot of ways is responsible for with Gangs of Wasseypur and all. What happened is those started getting popular only because there is an audience for that kind of Gali also.
But
so they
Gang
do
of
it.
Wasseypur, a lot of people migrated after that because it was so slow. I know people went to
You
Australia.
keep saying that. It was not slow.
I put it off. I couldn't bear it.
Even I have not seen.
50
actually. Same.
If you don't kill somebody in my
Yeah.
movie in the first 10 minutes, I'm good night, Irene, man.
After the first time, there's only kick.
Then John Wick must be your
Then you should
favorite.
have- I love John Wick.
Yeah, I
Oh my
know.
God, I
John
love
Wick-
John
Except the
Wick.
dog dies.
Yeah.
You don't hurt my dog,
yeah.
man.
John
But
Wick 3.
John
Yeah.
Wick 3
The
is like a
best.
masterpiece.
Oh my
Like,
God.
But no dog dies now.
no,
No, none.
John Wick 3, the dogs kill people.
Yes!
Fun
And there are
I love
multiple
this
films.
Oh my
There are
God.
I love people
Please
killing.
watch it.
Have you seen part 3?
No, Baba.
Oh my
best
God.
John Wick.
Amazing.
I live in a joint family.
Oh my
I
God.
only get.
I
so
felt
much
it was a
time.
modern Die Hard. You know how Die Hard
100%.
started this format
Yeah,
of
yeah.
action to ends with action.
Yeah,
the movie
yeah,
starts
yeah.
with John Wick took it to a next
Another level.
level.
Yeah.
Three.
And
And I found the first two a little too choreography.
In Bengali, is it John Wick? John Wick or John Wick? Please. Next
For
question.
the next one, okay. This one comes from Arjun from Chandigarh. I have a question about Cyrus. I've been listening to your podcast since
See, I had a pal
forever.
called Arjun Singh who played squash, 7-time national champion. Is it
Maybe it's the
guy?
same one.
But
I've been listening to your podcast since forever, and I always find Cyrus Brocha to be incredibly spontaneous, energetic, and witty all the time. Has he always been like this, or did he
For me?
develop these skills over
He
time?
wants you to answer.
No, he's asking.
He's clearly
you.
asking you. He's saying,
How- I
has
haven't
he,
known you
has
for-
he means, look at the use of grammar here.
I've only
I'm not
known
Arnab.
you- I've
Has he?
I've
Yes,
only
he has.
known you for
What
2
do you want?
years.
He wants to know how do you do it? How do you
He's
always
not asking
on?
me. He's asking my mom. Call my mom. I can't answer this.
I can't.
My mom's great though. I came second in a race.
Can I while doing this show with you right now, I was like, how is he so on? Because I am that person, but I'm in spurts.
Nitroflex.
I'm in spurts.
300 grams of caffeine
Yeah.
every morning.
Yeah.
Yes. From the wrong end.
Can I say something? My favorite line you ever said, you were interviewing Karan Johar once,
Ooh.
and you asked, it was for Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna.
What a movie.
It really stuck with me, that one joke. But you asked Karan, what languages do you speak? And Karan Johar said, I speak French and stuff. So you said, can you say Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna in French? And he tried saying it in French, and you said, I'm sorry, Karan, I don't speak Pomeranian. And it really, I'm not kidding, this was Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna was 12 years ago, but that joke stuck with me all these years,
Wow.
man. Thanks, man.
What a low standard you have. Appreciate it.
So always like. I think the answer is you've always been like this.
I don't know. Some people think I'm a little hyper, but I think a lot of people are a little hyper.
Yeah.
So you can't
Different
change the
people have
DNA.
different
It's
energies,
crude
yeah.
like
No, but
that.
that's the thing. I am envious of the fact that you're always on. Maybe you're not. Maybe you have your days and
Yeah.
all of that, but
No, I am even a bad sleeper. I wake up really like I never wake up slow.
Okay.
It's like a
Like
curse.
jerk, like-
yeah.
yeah.
now this might sound creepy, but I also know that you were in that Archana Puran Singh's little
Jalwa,
brother.
Jalwa.
I guess that was the most timid or tame you
No,
were.
but that
in.
is acting, Baba.
Huh. Okay. Back then also you
I was the only actor. Nasiruddin Shah.
yeah.
Remo Fernandez.
Remo sang.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
He and I were the only one who couldn't say "der" and "turn." Dadder se tadio, tadio se
Weren't you
tadio, dadder
mute
se
in that
tadio.
movie? Weren't you mute? Or
No, I had lines.
Okay.
मैं मापसा माँ के चला गया था दीदी तुम्हें याद नहीं आज wait this is as filmy as it gets तुम्हें याद नहीं आज राखी okay so he's a drug addict
Okay.
in a drug addict thing recovering and it's Rakhi so he's run away from the drug hospital or whatever it's called sanatorium and he comes to the house she slaps him for running away and then he opens the hand and the Rakhi is inside and then he says हाँ मुझे माफ करो दीदी तुम्हें याद नहीं आज राखी है and then I'm sorry and then I remember Pankaj Prasad saying take a pause and say I'm sorry so it became the worst performance in the history of cinema because if you're talking there's no question of being spontaneous or in the moment you're thinking now how to pause for 5 seconds
my
one
God.
butterfly 2 butterfly 3 butterfly I'm sorry didi that's what she should have slapped me I should have got a slap then for the dialogue
All right, let's
One
take
time.
last question. This one comes from Vivek Priyadarshi. Hi Cyrus, hope you enjoyed the Mumbai rains. In the last few days, the weatherman predicted very heavy rain, which didn't turn out to be true.
I was in Jaipur for 3 days.
Similarly, on some other occasions, we were completely caught off guard when there was no prediction of a downpour. My question is, how can we be so off
See, that's
when...
what they call the romance of the rains. He's being too cynical.
He's asking-
How weathermen are the last in the world to do this. I have no idea.
Essentially-
in England, they give it bang on.
He's
15
asking
minutes later, rain.
why are we so off when Europe and US are so accurate with their weather predictions?
Come, I'll take you to the meteorology facilities and, we had a joke in TN, the week that wasn't we used to do is that we think they have a coin. and Mr. Sharma and Mr. Verma sit opposite each other. Bol, kya karna hai? Tu choose karo, theek hai? Heads, rain. and they print rain. And I think that's a 50% chance, one way or the other.
I recently read about a weatherman in I think, California.
Yeah.
And what he used to do was, the day he wanted to play golf, and everyone looks forward to this
Right.
guy's if it's going to rain, it's going to rain. But the day he was going to play golf, he would give a forecast like, it's going to rain heavily
So it's
tomorrow.
empty.
So it would be empty and he could just roll.
Smart,
And he
Smart.
actually got his license barred and stuff because of it,
shit.
because someone caught on to this whole thing. And I thought that was amazing.
But there's a noble
the
reason.
power of a weatherman.
A noble reason to do that. Here's just inadequate information. Totally different.
yeah.
All right, so wrap, folks. Speaking of inadequate information, you've given me nothing. God bless you.
I
The
hope
show
you
is
had fun,
called
though.
GAYBCD.
GAYBCD.
Yeah.
EFG. No. Coming soon.
New episodes out every Tuesday.
New episodes.
Until
You're
news
saying it. What do you want me to say?
sexuality.
By the way, if you guys don't know, it's every Tuesday. New episodes.
Okay.
Anything else you want to say to pitch the show?
No, just tune in and just send us messages.
Pictures of your
Yeah,
parents.
man,
Yeah.
because what happens a lot of times, if we just keep talking, we just talk about ourselves. We
Yeah.
want to talk about
You want
stuff
Karan
people
Johar to
care
come on
about.
the show with his
Not at all.
Pomeranian?
Not-
I actually want him to come on the show. I want to put him in a
No,
hot seat.
I have dissed him too much on keeping it queer.
China.
to
He's pretty
ever-
cool. I'm sure he won't be here.
Yeah, I don't think
When you're
so.
Also,
that big
he's-
and powerful, you don't really care.
Yeah. Okay.
Does he even know what for podcast? Exactly. No.
You're just another Farhad at the moment for him.
Oh, God.
All right.
Insignificant.
Yeah.
But that'll change. Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me. Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you, we need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
And that's what Cyrus says.
Are you constantly seeking happiness? Wondering how to make the most of every day? How not to let your inhibitions stop you from achieving your goals? It's now time to get your A game on. It's time to unlock your true potential. Tune in to the Empowering series with me, Zarina Poonawalla, to feel empowered in all genres of life. From behavioral skills to management skills. From health to relationships. From mental well-being to emotional well-being. And of course, your finances. I've got you covered. With these tips and tricks from me, Zarina, and true life stories from my amazing guests, you're bound to bring your purest to the table. Tune in to the Empowering series with Zarina Poonawalla every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey guys, this is me, Eva Bhatt, your host for the podcast 9XM Soundcast. This podcast is produced by India's largest music network, 9X Media. We have been catering music and you have been enjoying. And now we bring you a podcast where music inspires. Every week, I interact with some of the best minds from the music industry to understand their creative discipline. Every new episode will feature artists who will share inspiring notes from their journey, some valuable tips for budding artists. So do subscribe to the podcast where music inspires. Enjoy a brand new episode of 9XM Soundcast every Tuesday on IVM Podcast app or website or wherever you get your podcast from.